Hey guys, welcome back to Carib 21 Network, wherever you're watching from, in the Caribbean or in the diaspora. So in today's video, I want to continue an ongoing conversation that we have here on Carib 21, and it's about the relationship between Jamaica, the Jamaican government, Jamaicans at home, and Jamaicans living in the diaspora. And this conversation is a continuation from an interview that the Prime Minister of Jamaica, the Most Honorable Dr. Andrew Holness, did a few weeks ago when he went to the United Nations General Assembly. One of the interviews that he did in New York was with Jam, a Jamaican-based radio station in New York. And one of the conversations that we have always been having on Carib 21 is about the relationship between Jamaicans at home and Jamaicans in the diaspora, and the government's effort or lack thereof to reach out to connect with the diaspora. And I want to use this conversation today to encourage emotional intelligence, and that is what I'm doing today. Because one of the things is that I was one of the biggest critics of the Prime Minister of Jamaica roughly 5 years ago in terms of not having that strong relationship with Jamaicans living in the diaspora. And I would be the first to confess that what we're seeing from the Prime Minister within the past 3 years or so, the Prime Minister, the relationship with Jamaicans in the diaspora is at a different level. I believe that this Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Dr. Andrew Holness, has taken that relationship to another level. I know Portia Simpson Miller, when she was Prime Minister, she made an effort in terms of reaching out to Jamaicans in the diaspora. But what we're seeing from the Prime Minister now is at a level that we have never seen before. And I know Jamaicans living in the diaspora, whether you're in New York, you're Atlanta, you're in Miami, you're in London, you're in Toronto, Ontario, I'm sure that a lot of Jamaicans can attest to this, that what we're seeing from the Prime Minister in recent times is a different level of connection with the diaspora. And this is very important because at the peak, when I did my research, my research showed me that up to 75% of Jamaicans that graduated from the top universities in Jamaica, up to 75% at the peak, were left Jamaica and were in whether Canada, America, the United Kingdom, China, you name it, a lot of Jamaicans. So that is, Jamaica suffer one of the biggest brain drain in the entire world. Just imagine 75% of your students from the top university in your country, and as soon as they get their degree, their diploma, whatever, they leave and they are out in the world contributing to building other countries. And so for me, it was always important that the Prime Minister, the government of Jamaica, would connect with the diaspora. And we know, like, as much as there's a brain drain, we can see the benefit of the diaspora. We saw COVID was a perfect example where remittance going to Jamaica even surpassed that of tourism because of the tourism sector being completely locked down. And it's been said that if it wasn't for the diaspora, that Jamaica probably would not have dig out of the effects of the pandemic as well as it did, because millions of dollars, billions of dollars in US dollars back in Jamaica to stimulate the economy because of Jamaicans living in the diaspora. So as I said, I would be the first to say, like, look, what we're seeing from this Prime Minister now is at a level that we have never seen before with the connection with Jamaicans living in the diaspora. And I believe that if Jamaica is going to become that developed country by 2030, Jamaicans in the diaspora are going to play a very important part of that development with all the expertise, the brightest minds that have left Jamaica, and they're contributing to the development of other countries. If that expertise can be back in Jamaica in terms of people relocating back to Jamaica or people sharing their knowledge that they gain, whether in China, in the United Kingdom, America, Canada, I believe that that type of knowledge is going to help Jamaica to get to the next level. So as I said, this is a conversation that was brought on by an interview that was done with the Prime Minister of Jamaica with the New York-based Jam. So this is the interview, and then we'll come back and continue this conversation.
Looking ahead, what message would you like to send to Jamaicans in the diaspora and about their role in shaping the Jamaica of tomorrow?
Well, first of all, I would like to say thanks to all the members of the diaspora who came home and voted in the election, regardless of who you voted for, that you felt it important to come and participate in the democracy of the country should be acknowledged, and I acknowledge you. And of course, if you voted for me, even a greater special acknowledgement and thanks. But as I said earlier, the issue of power diplomacy, uh, we're seeing almost a movement away or a challenge to multilateralism, which would give some deference to smaller countries. Uh, I think the world that is emerging is one where you have to stand on your own 2 feet. And so if there are Jamaicans who have in their minds that the world owes us a favor in any way, we should just take that out of our minds and forget about that. You have to be, what it means to be an independent nation is that you have to stand on your own 2 feet. But it also means, as an independent nation, and I use the term nation because it's not just an independent country. The nation does include our citizens and persons who claim Jamaican heritage and citizenship as part of our nation. And those persons can play a role in ensuring that Jamaica is always favorably considered, that we are positioned in a strategic way in the world, and that we contribute not only to Jamaica's development, but to the development of the world. So Jamaicans living in the United States or elsewhere, helps Jamaica when they do well where they live, where they participate in the politics of their country, where they're part of enterprise, they're part of society in philanthropy and charity, they're part of academia, they are creating new knowledge, and they are participating in the peace and development of the country in which they live. That helps Jamaica. And in the same way, when they pay attention to affairs in Jamaica and contribute, whether it is in knowledge and academia, in society and culture, in economics, or just, waving the flag at a sporting event and shouting, Jamaica, Jamaica, one love. That helps Jamaica.
So before you go, many Jamaicans abroad want to return home or contribute more directly. What is your administration doing to make it easier for members of the diaspora to resettle, invest, and even start businesses in Jamaica?
Well, there are already in place provisions which support our returning residents. And those provisions are fairly liberal in terms of incentives, in terms of duty concessions on taking home your goods to Jamaica when you're returning to live in Jamaica. But we outside of that, the objective is not to create a special window for any set or special set of Jamaicans, other than persons who we would consider to be marginal in the society, or persons who have specific disabilities. What we want to build in Jamaica is a society, an enterprise, where the rules and bureaucracy are simple, that you don't have to give any special incentive. So it's a level playing field for all, and it is easy for all. And that's the other element of the term, which we will be focusing on, and that is improving our efficiency. And that means not just increasing the output of our people, but reducing the bureaucracy, which in the last 20 or 30 years has evolved into a very dense and complicated obstacle for not just people in the diaspora, but more so for people living in Jamaica. And so we have to pay attention to that. We have layered on rules on top of rules on top of rules and regulations and laws, and they have become very complicated and sometimes even working at cross purposes and consumes time unnecessarily. And so we have to take a really serious look at the Jamaican bureaucracy. We want a complex bureaucracy, meaning a bureaucracy that is properly networked and deals with all situations and probabilities of things emerging in an efficient way. What we don't want is a complicated bureaucracy where you have rules for rules' sake that don't make sense and that don't support the ultimate vision, which is to grow the economy and increase the standard and quality of life of Jamaicans.
Okay, so that was the interview with the Prime Minister of Jamaica, the Most Honorable Dr. Andrew Holness from Jam Radio in New York, based in New York. And big up to Jam for that interview. It was a good interview. I'm going to leave a link to the full interview if you want to watch the full interview. I'm going to leave that link in the comment section so you can just go over to Jam and watch that full interview. But as I said, what we're seeing from the Prime Minister now, especially in the past 2 years, I've seen the Prime Minister all over doing a lot of town hall meetings. One thing I would have to say to the Prime Minister though, I think you should be in Toronto sometime soon. We haven't seen you in Toronto doing one of those town hall meetings in a long time. So I would love to see you in Toronto. But yes, so as I said, based on what we are seeing coming out of this Prime Minister's office, I would be the first to say, look, to thank the Prime Minister of Jamaica on behalf of Jamaicans living in the diaspora for keeping that connection, for improving on that connection, reaching out to the diaspora. And I think it's important also for me to say to the Foreign Affairs Minister, Kamina Johnson-Smith, because I believe one of the reasons why the Prime Minister is looking so well in terms of dealing with Jamaicans in the diaspora is because of the Foreign Affairs Minister, Kamina Johnson-Smith. And this is my personal belief, but I believe that she's the most active Foreign Affairs Minister that we have ever seen in Jamaica history. Like, for me, personally, I don't know about anyone else, but that is just my belief that Kamina Johnson-Smith, like, she is at a different level in terms of foreign minister. I've never seen anyone as active, whether in CARICOM or, as I said, in the wider diaspora. She's doing an amazing job, and I also believe that Kamina Johnson-Smith, she have to get a big up from us, from Jamaicans living in the diaspora, because this is something that I've been championing for years, because a lot of people don't really understand the impact of Jamaicans living in the diaspora. And this is something that I've always been trying to educate people about, that yes, the Jamaica diaspora contribution in terms of foreign exchange being second only to tourism, that in itself is a massive contribution, because we're seeing in recent time where a lot of other Caribbean countries, we see Trinidad, we see Guyana with like pretty much a foreign exchange crisis. Like they're not getting enough foreign exchange. And for a country, a small island in Jamaica, with right now we don't have the natural resources that a lot of other countries have, the oil and the bauxite that we used to have back in the days, that remittance is that buffer in terms of foreign exchange, and that alone in itself is amazing. But not just that, the contribution of Jamaicans in terms of import-export. Like when you go, like for example, in Toronto, in the GTA, the Greater Toronto area, there's over 350 Jamaican restaurants within the GTA. Within the GTA, over 350 different restaurants. I'm talking about Canada. Just imagine New York. So when you talk about import exports and you talk about banana, you talk about yam, you talk about ram goat and all of the things that Jamaicans send to North America, that is mainly because of Jamaicans in the diaspora, because Jamaicans in the diaspora are consumers of, like, partaking a lot of what is going on in the Jamaican restaurants in the diaspora. And not only that, we introduce people that have never had Jamaican food before. So now when you go to New York, now when you go to Toronto and you go to a Jamaican restaurant, you're seeing like Filipinos eating Jamaican food. You're seeing Japanese, you're seeing people from all over Europe. It's not just Jamaicans alone partaking in Jamaican cuisine within North America. So that is also an impact that the diaspora have that people don't really talk about that much. So we're talking about the remittance, we're talking about import export, even tourism. A lot of people, when we talk about tourism, we often leave out Jamaicans in the diaspora, and that is a big mistake, because I would say at least when you look at the Jamaica tourism number, I would say at least 10% of that number would consist of Jamaicans returning back home. Because as a Jamaican, like living in North America, when I go back to Jamaica, like I'm not going back to my old community. You know, I left Jamaica, I work hard, I try to make some money. I want to enjoy Jamaica the way that I could not enjoy Jamaica when I was living in Jamaica. So yes, I'm going to go to some of those all-inclusive hotels. Yes, I'm going to rent an Airbnb. I'm going to go to Duns River Falls. I'm going to go to Mystic Mountain. I'm going to see Jamaica like I've never seen it before, because I could not afford to see it back in the days when I was young and doing minimum wage job. So that is a part of the contribution of the diaspora that people don't really talk about. So guys, sound off in the comment section, whether you're in the diaspora, where if you're in New York, Atlanta, Miami, wherever, London, you're in China, Australia, because Jamaicans are all over the world. Wherever you are watching this video, what do you think about this Prime Minister and his contribution in terms of connecting with the diaspora? Do you agree with me that this Prime Minister is doing a better job than any other Prime Minister that we have ever seen in terms of connecting to the diaspora? Or do you believe that the Prime Minister can do more? Leave your comment in the comment section, and we'll continue this conversation in the comment section. And guys, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing content. And remember, peace. I'm out.